Hello, Satnam and happy Venus Day. I hope you're all doing really well. Welcome to my channel, Opal Rose Oracle, and welcome to our Friday afternoon story time. We're going to be continuing our story from last week, Earth, Fire, Water, and Air, by Mary Hoffman. And today we're going to read the chapter on fire. So grab your waters, grab your blankets, grab your stuffed animals, grab a snack, and we will dive into our story today. Fire. You see the sun and the lion and the ram and the centaur at the bottom. Those symbolize the fire alchemical symbols and astrological symbols. We have Aries, the ram. We have Leo, the lion. And we have Sagittarius, the centaur and the archer. And we have fire in different forms. We have the sun. We have lightning. We have a volcano. All these ways that fire shows up in the natural world around us. Around the fire, the secret of making fire is one of the skills that sets people apart from animals. Animals really don't make fire, do they? We can summon fire as we wish and make it cook our food, keep us warm, even destroy for us if we want it to. Yet you might live all your life in a modern house and never see a flame. Do you have a fireplace in your home? I used to. There is something special about firelight and candlelight. They take us back to a time when fire warded off wild animals. Everyone loves a log fire, a campfire, or a bonfire because they give us back the feeling of adventure, of being close to nature. Candles in a church symbolize the soul, the undying spirit of a human. We make a wish when we blow out our birthday candles, perhaps to celebrate surviving another year. Part of the magic of candles and torches come from being able to see how vulnerable a flame is. It can be blown out by the wind or by the human breath, just like that. Human life can seem just as fragile and easily snuffed out. You see the hearth that they're all sitting around? The hearth is another name for the fireplace. And we can see them with their chairs and their recliner and the kitty sitting on the armrest. We enjoy the warmth of fires so much. Fire mountains. Fire is not always tame. No, no, no. And not always comforting. There are stories of twinkling fires called will-o'-the-wisps that lead people to their deaths in the marshes. When fire is out of control, it can be the most terrifying of the four elements. Forest fires that rage wildly leave nothing in their path. We can see, I'll go back. We can see that there's a home and that there's fire rising up behind the trees, and the animals are fleeing and the humans are fleeing because it's a wildfire. It's not contained. And the birds are even heading out. Though most of the time with fires, you won't see the birds flying because they'll be laying low to the ground so they're not breathing in the smoke. The most fearsome of all natural fires comes from the heart of a volcano. The Hindus of Java believe that a god lives inside the fire mountain, which is what they call a volcano. They can grow 3 crops of rice a year from the fertile soil on a volcano's slopes, full of ashes from old eruptions, even if their fire mountain has erupted quite recently. They still climb up to the crater every year to throw in offerings to the god and in thanks for the rich harvest. People always want to live on and near volcanoes because the land is good, even though they know that they never know when the air will suddenly be filled with fire and boiling lava. People who live by volcanoes are brave. Very brave. See that? All that fire comes from deep inside, and then it rumbles up, and then it flows, spitting fire, ash, and smoke into the skies. It makes the skies look orangey. Night fires. There is nothing quite so magical as the contrast between a bright light and the night sky. The first night fires were the moon and the stars, and there are enough stories about them to fill many, many books. If you look at the sky on a clear night at the right time of year, you can see some of the signs of the zodiac, such as the crab, the bull, and the water bearer. You can see Greek heroes, such as Orion, the hunter, and Perseus, who killed the Medusa. Animals, such as Pegasus and the great bear, and women as beautiful as their names, Andromeda, Cassiopeia, and the Pleiades. And you can see the stars. Pegasus, Cassiopeia, and then on the other side we have the crab, Cancer, and the bull, Taurus. The dragon constellation, named by the Babylonians, is 16 stars arranged around the North Star. You can see it in the north in the springtime, coiled forever around the little bear and hissing at Hercules. The night sky is a living storybook. We like to add our own fires to the night sky. The ancient religions of Britain used fires at festivals for grisly sacrificial reasons. Today, we enjoy fireworks and bonfires and jack-o'-lanterns. But whenever there is a really big celebration, such as the Chinese New Year or the 4th of July, there must be fireworks to dazzle our eyes and lift our spirits. You see them playing with sparklers? And then the firework bursting into a shower of stars. You see the sun? Fire worship. The first people to make fire lived in China about 400,000 years ago. Wow. Can you imagine 400,000 years ago? That may seem like a long time, but it is recent compared to how long the other three elements have influenced human life. Earth, water, and air are all around us, but fire occurs on its own in nature only occasionally. Perhaps this accounts for the importance of fire in ancient mythologies. That would make sense. In many parts of the world, the first gods to be worshipped were sun gods, powerful fire beings who were thought to live inside the sun. The supreme god of the Egyptians was Ra, who shared his qualities with whoever was king at the time. In India was Surya, the eye of heaven. In Savitri were both sun gods. Parsis of Iran and India still worship Ahura Mazda and have sacred ceremonies involving flames. Sun gods are usually male because the sun disappears below the horizon each dusk and rises with the dawn each morning. Many people believed in a fiery god who died every night, and many people believe and came back to life every morning. Ra, for example, steered across the heavens in a boat, pursued by a huge crocodile, which seemed to devour the sun at the end of each day. The reappearance of the sun in the morning was a sign that Ra had killed the crocodile once more. And you can see here the sun chasing or actually the crocodile, chasing after the sun. And Ra's like, you may eat me, but I will rise and defeat you every morning. Wow. Stealing fire. There are many stories about how people learned to make fire from the gods or whoever else was keeper. The Native Americans in what is now Canada told a story that it was Bear who had the secret of fire. He kept a firestone tied to his belt and used it to make sparks. You can see the bear in his cave, and he's wearing a belt, and there's the stone. And he's hanging out with a lizard or a salamander and a bird. One day, when Bear was relaxing in his cave, in front of a fire, a cold little bird hopped in and asked to be warmed. The gruff bear consented, fine, in return for the bird's picking lice out of his fur. This she did. But every now and again, she also pecked at the thong holding the firestone. As soon as the thong was pecked through, she snatched the stone and flew away. Outside the cave, a long line of animals passed the magic stone as quickly as possible from one to the other. Here, you take it, you take it. The last was a fox. He ran to the top of a mountain and dashed the stone to pieces. He threw a fragment to each of the tribes. And that is how native North Americans learned to make fire. Firebirds and dragons. Fire has its own mythical creatures. The legendary salamander was able to live unharmed inside a fire. Wow. The Egyptian phoenix was an extraordinary bird that represented the sun. There was only one phoenix at any time. With red and gold feathers, it was a beautiful bird believed to live for thousands of years. When the time came for it to die, it built its own funeral pyre out of spiced wood, and the sun's rays set fire to it. And a new phoenix was born from the ashes of the fire, symbolizing new life and hope. The fire creature we know best, I bet you can guess, is a dragon. There are many stories about it. There are as many stories about it as about the unicorn. Perhaps they grew out of people's glimpses of giant lizards. From stories and pictures, we know what a traditional European dragon looks like without ever having seen one. A huge, scaly serpent with wings and a long reptilian tail. It has fearsome teeth, a forked tongue, huge nostrils, out of which breathe flames. The dragon's traditional food is young maidens, and its enemy, a hero with a sword. The only dragon that doesn't seem to fit this description is the Chinese dragon, which is a water creature. See the picture of the phoenix up top and the salamander next to it. Then down at the bottom we have a fiery dragon. The eternal flame. How many miles to Babylon? 70 miles and 10. Can I get there by candlelight? Yes. And back again. Candlelight takes you to places you normally only dream of. It has a magical quality, fending off the dark while you hold it in your hands like a talisman. There is traditionally something sacred about a single flame. Christian churches use candles in processions and on the altar and in front of statues of angels and saints. But the tradition is still older than that. In ancient Rome, there was a temple to the goddess Vesta, the goddess of the hearth and home, who was in charge of the sacred flame of the hearth. Vesta had taken a vow to remain unmarried all her life. The young women who came and served in her temple followed her example and were known as the Vestal Virgins, sovereign unto themselves, belonging to no man. A single flame is often a symbol of a single soul. Catholics light candles for the souls of the dead and departed, and the eternal flames are kept burning on many tombs of the unknown soldiers, memorials to those who have fought and died in wars. To those who have fought and died in war. When the Olympic Games begin, the high point of the opening ceremony is the carrying in of the torch to ignite the Olympic flame. This flame will be kept burning throughout the games. At Easter time, in many Mediterranean countries, there are processions up to high places of worship. The processions are held in the warm, flower-scented dark, with every person in the village or town climbing a hill and carrying a torch or candle. At midnight on Easter Saturday, the vigil comes to an end with the lighting of a huge Paschal candle, from which lots of new small ones are lit to celebrate the resurrection on Easter Sunday. You can see them with their candles in their churches going up to the church on top of the hill. Funeral fires. Celebrating a birth or mourning a death are times when people feel closest to the elements. Like earth, fire has a part to play in the rituals surrounding death. Hindus build funeral pyres and have strong beliefs about which members of the dead person's family should light the fire. Viking heroes were launched out to sea on their ships, and the ships were set on fire as they slipped into the water. Only a very great warrior or chieftain received this treatment, since the ships were of great value. The dead man's riches, belongings, were also destroyed with him. At a burial of the Norse god Balder, his horse was slaughtered and thrown into the ship. His wife, who had died of a broken heart, was burned with him. Though it may seem a long way from a Viking funeral, many people today also have their bodies burned or cremated when they pass away. The fire is thought to symbolize the purification of the body. Some people even ask for their ashes to be scattered in a place they have loved during their lifetime. A bad master. Fire is said to be a good servant, but a bad master. In other words, we enjoy all the warmth and comfort in cooked food that fire provides, but we are terrified of fire when it gets out of hand. Perhaps this is because we have never really had mastery of it. Even the planned burning of woodlands and forests bring results beyond human control. Once the trees have gone, the fertile topsoil can disappear, and gradually the land can become a desert where nothing grows. But the old idea of fire, living in the sun, gives us new hope for the planet too. We can use the energy that comes from the sun, solar energy, instead of burning wood and fossil fuels for power. Solar energy can warm our homes, heat our water, and perhaps cook our food and propel our cars. So we are developing new ways to come close to one of the traditional spirits of fire. Fire is such a powerful element, isn't it? It warms us and it teaches us so much about how something so good and so strong can also be so fragile, so delicate, and so temperamental, that when it's controlled and harnessed, it can help us. It can serve us in beautiful ways by keeping us warm, helping us eat and see in the dark, and even power our cars. It's amazing how something so helpful we also know can be devastatingly dangerous when out of hand, like when we watch the forest fires that happen in Oregon and California and Colorado and other parts of the world, or when a volcano erupts. It can cause a lot of chaos for humans and animals alike. It's something to ponder, something to wonder about. For we can be just like fire, so helpful, so good, so wonderful. But when we get out of control, we also know that we can hurt ourselves and others too, even if we don't mean to. And that's a powerful thing to ponder. How can we harness our fire, our energy, our heart, our passions, and bring warmth and nurturance and growth to all those we love and care about, human and animal and plant and element alike. I hope you enjoyed the fire chapter. I know I did. I learned a whole lot. And I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Have lots of fun. Get outside. Maybe carve a pumpkin, or go apple picking, or go for a hike. There's so many fun things to do in the autumn season, and I hope each and every one of you get to enjoy it and make the most of it. Sending you lots of love and best wishes always. Bye for now, and I'll see you next time for water, the water element.